In this video, we're going to continue to talk about materials and textures in VRAY for SketchUp, and we're going to go into deep talking about the difference between bump, normal, and displacement. Right now, you can see basically what's the difference between bump map, which is this one here on the left, and the displacement, which is the one on the right. You can see clearly that, especially in the edges, this one here, it's the fake 3D because we cannot see, we have a straight edge and we only see the 3D superficial effect on the front of the object. This one here instead is a displacement, and we can see that because, well, it looks much more realistic, and you can definitely see the bricks extruded from the original surface. So this is the main difference between the two, and we're gonna investigate on that, and I will show you how you can create displacement here in VRAY for SketchUp. And also we will continue to talk about the difference between glossiness and roughness, and also we will see other tools that can be useful in managing materials in VRAY for SketchUp. And so let's start. So for this exercise, I will use some polyhaven content. So you can access here, and I'm gonna use the material from the previous lesson. So if you go here and go into bricks, look for medieval bricks, medieval blocks. So this one here. And also I want to use 3D model that you can find in the models. If you scroll down, or you can search for a drill, you can search for this object here. So I want to use this because this one here has a normal map, and in this one we have a displacement and bump map, but also I want to show you more precisely how you can manage the roughness and glossiness, and they all have like PBR textures and maps, so we can do many examples using these assets. So just as we did in the previous video, we can download this, use 1K, we don't need more than that, and download in Blender. So click on download, and then you can open it up in Blender and export it from Blender in DAE format. This one here, you don't need to do anything, we just need the textures. So you can see the drill here inside the scene, but I'm gonna delete it and then start all over again with you. And before we get into the drill and into the textures and maps and materials, I want to show you one additional tool that you can use already in SketchUp, and that you can of course use for VRAY for SketchUp as well. So this tool, or let's say this is a panel, is the text panel. Now this is similar to the layers panel in other software, and it's pretty useful because when you will start to increase the size of your scene, and also when you will start to apply a lot of effects, you can see here this is the icon for the displacement, things are going to be heavier and heavier, and also hard to manage into the viewport here. So this is why the tags or layers are created for, so to help you to manage your scene and work more comfortably. So right here I can deactivate, for example, parts of my scene. And well, you don't need to delete things when you're using tags, you can just hide them from the scene. So if, for example, here I can hide the drill, and I want to hide the wall as well, so I have an empty scene that I can use. And how you do this, how you do create these tags or layers, just click here and add the tag, and you can call these, for example, layer X, okay? And also you can apply materials in SketchUp using layers. So if you right click and say color by tag, now all the scene is going to be colored not based on the actual material, but on the colors that you can find here. But this can also be materials in SketchUp. Now we have a similar thing using VRAY. So if I deactivate color by tag and I want to, for example, use this layer. So first of all, I need to bring some objects inside this layer. So let's say that I just want to bring this surface on the top. So I will select that, go into the entity info. You can see I am selecting only one entity, and I can get also the area and the volume. I can get the information from the entity info. And if I click here on the tag, I can use this and place this in the layer X. So this is not part of this layer, which contains all the rest of my set here. So if I want to apply a material only on that part or only in the objects that are contained into the layer, I can go here in VRAY Asset Editor. And for example, let's create an emissive material, or I can just get one emissive material from here and select only that object. And I have two options. I can right click and apply to selection, just as we did before. Or I can right click and apply to layer. And so I will select, well, I can select the active layer, but be careful because the active layer could be the base one. So just go for the layer that you had just created. So in my case, it's layer X. And you can see there I applied that material on that surface. Now, we already know emissive materials, they are pretty cool because they actually emit light. So if I run a render here, and let me also stop before running the render, because the displacement, it's a really heavy effect. So I wanted to hide the displacement, but now it started already. So again, you can also see the difference between the displacement and the standard bump and normal map on the left. Okay, now let's proceed for the normal map. Now this is how the normal map look like. And also, again, the effect, it's similar to the bump. So using bump or using normal in VRAY, it's almost the same thing. It changes slightly. And well, they use different technologies, but we can use both. And if we don't have bump, we can look for normal or vice versa. We can also find some converters to convert bump in normal and vice versa. And displacement, it's just another game because it's not a fake 3D effect. It's gonna actually extrude. And you can see many examples here looking for displacement map and making comparisons. You can see here the difference between bump and displacement. Okay, now let's go into our drill here. So if you didn't, you can import it by just going to File, Import, and this is the exported one from Blender. So you just need to import it with the file import.